All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here today for our Microsoft Teams Smart Meetings training. My name is Shane Jaspers, and I work for Microsoft in the Impact Enterprise Department, and it is my job to ensure that our customers are successful with our products and services. If this is your first time joining a live event with us, let me just give you a little bit of a rundown of the features that you will have available to you. So this live event is being recorded, and if you look in the announcements on the right side of the screen, you will see that I posted a link to a YouTube playlist that has all of the recordings of our previous sessions, and when this one is recorded and processed, it will be added to that playlist as well. Over on the right side where the announcements are, there is also a Q&A section, and that is how you, the attendees, will interact with myself, the presenter, as well as my moderators here. If you do have any questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A section, and my moderators will be able to answer those for you. When you first send a question to us, it will be private, meaning only myself and my moderators will be able to see. However, if it is a question that we have a lot of, or if it is a question that we think would be really good for everybody to hear the answer to, we will publish it and then answer it publicly. Otherwise, we can just answer it privately directly to the person that asked about it. In addition to a Q&A section, there are also live captions for this training. So if you look in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, should be somewhere down below where my mouse is, there is a closed caption button. It looks like a little CC inside of a box. If you click on that, that should enable the live captions for this live event. If that does not work, there may be a cog or gear icon in the same area. If you click on that, that will allow you to enable subtitles for this live event. So today we are going to be going over smart meetings, essentially how you can use Teams to really amp up the efficiency with which you collaborate with your fellow team members. We're going to be going over creating meetings within Teams, the different processes for creating meetings, the different kinds of meetings we can create, some best practices for creating meetings, and then we will go through a live demonstration of creating a meeting and all of the functions that we have available to us within that meeting. This is one of the shorter training sessions that we have, so it will probably go about an hour, and then we will have time for some Q&A at the end. But please, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them at any time during the training, and one of my moderators will be able to answer you. If not, we may be stopping here and there for questions to answer live in the demonstration. So let's talk about smart meetings. So first, I just want to give my general introduction about what Microsoft Teams is, in case you have not made any of our fundamentals trainings. And Microsoft Teams is the hub for teamwork in Office 365. It integrates Office 365 productivity tools in one place, and is the next level of communication through chat and calls, and collaboration through file sharing, co-authoring, and screen sharing. It is deeply integrated with Office 365, including utilization of one's digital identity within Office 365. Permissions, presence, and more are tied to this identity. So any permissions for files are tied to your digital identity, as well as your presence, your availability, whether you are available, busy, away, presenting, that is all tied to your digital identity as well, and that is all tied in with Microsoft Teams. And as you will see, one of the things I will go over is how your availability is directly affected by whether or not you are in a meeting or whether or not you are presenting in a meeting. And real quick, I do just want to talk briefly about the cross-platform experience that Microsoft Teams has. We are going to be demonstrating today within the web application for Teams, and that is because I am currently presenting using my desktop application. And because I'm presenting using my desktop application, I can't really demo it to you at the same time. So I will be demoing the web application, and there are a few things that the web application does a little bit differently than the desktop application, a few features that haven't quite made it to the web app yet, but I will go over what exactly those are when we get to them. If you are going to use the web application, you only need to go to teams.microsoft.com and click on the button that says use the web app after you've logged in. We do recommend you use the new version of Microsoft Edge built on Chromium or Google Chrome if you are going to use the web app. The ideal way to access Teams is through the desktop app, however, and if you do not already have that installed on your machine, you can just go to teams.microsoft.com, and the first thing it'll ask you after you log in is, would you like to download the desktop app? And then the third way to access Teams is through the mobile app, which is available for iOS and Android. And you can actually, one of the slides I'll get to, we'll talk about this, but you can join meetings and share content from your mobile device as well as your computer and web app. If you go to teams.microsoft.com on your mobile device, it will prompt you to download the app. However, you can also go to the App Store for your smartphone and download it. Make sure you're downloading Microsoft Teams directly from there. All right, so real quick, I just want to go over, this is our schedule right now for the additional settings that will be coming up through the end of September. Today, we are going over our smart meetings with Teams. Next Tuesday, we will have a Teams fundamentals training. So if you missed our previous fundamentals training, make sure to catch that one. There's a lot of useful information in there. That's probably the one where we go over the most amount of information in one session. Then the following Thursday, we'll have productivity in Teams. And then the Tuesday after that, we will be going over live events. What you are currently attending right now is a live event, and if you would like to know more information about how to create a live event and build it out and invite people to attend your live event, I definitely recommend you hop on that training. That's a really cool one as well. And then the following Thursday, we're going to do a fundamentals light session, and we're going to emphasize best practices. So it's going to be a little bit different than Teams fundamentals. It's going to be more of a fluid training where we do talk about features. However, we talk about the best way to utilize them in your daily life and not necessarily the basics of each of those features. And then on Tuesday, the 29th, we will be talking about app integration, which is what we had earlier this week. So feel free to check out the recording for that one, but you might want to hop on that one if you do have any questions about app integration within Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams was built to create an easy way to communicate and collaborate with your coworkers while also customizing your workspace. And as a lot of you know, even before this whole work from home initiative, we have spent as much as 50% of our work life in meetings. And as you probably know, going to those meetings can be a bit of a drag, and many people indicate that their meetings are inefficient or ineffective. So you can have informal colleague chats, you can have one-on-ones with managers, team meetings, project meetings, training sessions, review meetings, all hands meetings, and all of these different kinds of meetings could be going on in a conference room, they could be going on in an office, but usually they're not something that we're looking forward to throughout the day. Usually we're rolling our eyes saying, oh man, we have to go to this meeting. But the nice thing about Teams meetings is we can take care of all these different kinds of meetings virtually through a Teams conference bridge. And we're going to talk about how we can do that and different cool ways that we can use our meetings to accomplish all of these different kinds here. So in Microsoft 365, we have two different kinds of meetings. And you can see we have our first one over here and our second one over here. And these are going to be the two basic kinds of meetings that we can create within Microsoft Teams. So over here on the left, we have our Teams meetings. These are going to be meetings that redefine teamwork, and they are many-to-many collaborations where everyone has equal participation. So when you create a meeting within Microsoft Teams, you are the event organizer, and then you can invite attendees to that meeting. Now, one of the things that we'll go over is you can go into the settings for that meeting and you can designate specific people as presenters, or you can make it so that anybody is able to present, and we'll talk about what it's like to add other people as presenters when we get to the demo. But as you can see down here, in a Teams meeting, you can have up to 300 attendees. You can do one-to-one, or you can do group video calls. It is a single meeting organizer, like I said, but again, you can designate other people as presenters who will be able to take over responsibilities if you are not able to attend that meeting. And anyone can share content, audio, and chat, again, unless you have chosen otherwise in the settings of that meeting. Now, the other kind of meeting that you can create within Microsoft Teams is what we are doing right now, and that is a live event. These are events that connect audiences at scale. It's a few to many broadcast that enables attendees to engage with interactive discussion. So you have myself, I am the presenter of this live event, and then we have other presenters and producers in the live event who are moderating the Q&A, and then all of you are attendees, and attendees are able to view the content that is being presented, but you are not able to unmute, you are not able to speak up or share your own content, but you are able to interact with us using the Q&A section over to the right side of the screen. And as you can see down here with a live event, you can have up to 10,000 attendees with a standard live event. You can actually work with Microsoft to get more attendees than that, but that does require some special permissions to be put in place. But it is a few to many broadcast, and it is hosted by designated presenters and producers. I'm not going to go too deep into presenters and producers and the live event organizer today, because that is its own training session. We do have some recordings for the live event ones, or if you want to hop on one of our live event trainings later in the month, you can do that as well. But just know that when a live event is created, it does have an organizer, and then it also has producers and presenters. And it has moderated Q&A and open dialogue. So just because it says question and answers, you don't have to ask a question if you want to post something. You can make a statement, say how you're feeling about the training, and we can still respond to that as well. But you'll notice here in the middle, these are features that both Teams meetings and live events have in common. You can invite internal and external participants to both. You can have rich video and interactive discussion, and you can have on-demand cloud recordings. So for example, when a live event is created, you determine whether or not you want it to be recorded. Usually the answer to that is yes, because if a live event is being recorded, it can also automatically generate captions, which I've always thought was really cool. So like I mentioned earlier, with our cross-platform experience with Microsoft Teams, you are going to get a relatively consistent experience across devices, screens, sizes, and platforms. So here you can see we have many different ways of accessing Teams. You can use PC, Mac, mobile, web app, conference rooms, and desk phones. You can access Teams meetings across devices wherever you are, at home, in the office, or on the go. You can collaborate directly via mobile with screen sharing, live camera feed, and PowerPoint. And that is one of the things that we will talk about in a little bit. But one of the really cool things is, depending on what license you have for Teams, you can actually call into a Teams meeting on your phone. So if I am away from the office, or I'm not near my computer, and maybe I don't have Teams on my smartphone, or maybe I'm only near a landline phone, I can look at the email for the Teams meeting invitation, and there will be a phone number at the bottom of the meeting description, as well as a conference ID number. And if I call that phone number and put in the conference ID number, then I can call into that meeting and still be able to hear everything that's going on. Now, of course, if you call into a meeting, you are not able to see what is being presented. However, one of the things that we'll go over in our live demonstration is the fact that we can actually, if our computer doesn't have a microphone or speakers, we can have the meeting itself display on our computer screen while we call in from our phone and can use that as our microphone and speaker. So that is another option we do have available to us. So there are 3 different stages of a meeting, and we're going to talk about how Microsoft Teams can help with each of these stages. So first, we have our pre-meeting. That's the invites are going out. We're creating the agenda. We're posting the pre-meeting documents that are going to be shared. And then we have in-meeting. This is while the meeting is going on, and we are presenting, we are collaborating, we are talking amongst ourselves, we are chatting. And then we have our post-meeting, which are the action item follow-ups, the document edits, the tasks that maybe are being created through Planner, surveys that are being sent out through Microsoft Forms. And here we'll be able to talk about how each of the functions and features of Microsoft Teams will help you with each of these meeting stages here. Over here you can see just a screen grab of what a meeting chat looks like after a meeting. This is a meeting that was created, and this is the chat that was available. And that chat is available before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. And I'm going to be honest with you, the chat is one of my favorite features of the meeting. I use chat a lot in Microsoft Teams, and the fact that every meeting I am a part of has its own chat. And the really cool thing is if you create a recurring meeting in Teams, which we will go over, then that chat is actually consistent between all of those recurring meetings. So if I have a meeting every morning, which I do, I have a meeting every morning at 9 a.m., the chat in that meeting is actually consistent between each of those meetings. So when I went there this morning, the chat was the same chat that was there yesterday, and it'll be the same chat there tomorrow. So I can always go back and look at what people have posted in previous days. So that's pretty darn cool. And then down here, again, it mentions that for live events, we are adding the ability to broadcast to 10,000 plus attendees. So another thing that we are going to talk about is how to create a Teams meeting in Microsoft Outlook. So you can actually use Outlook or Microsoft Teams, whichever you want, to create your Teams meetings. And that is one of those things where, for example, I know a lot of people like to ask us questions about distribution lists, and Teams does not support distribution lists by default because Teams is not meant to replace Outlook, and a distribution list is meant to be used specifically with email itself. So while you cannot use a distribution list directly with Microsoft Teams, you can create a Teams meeting in Outlook and use that meeting to send out a distribution list, or send out a meeting invite to a distribution list. You can also use Outlook to send out meeting invites to external users as well if they are not guests in your Teams tenant. Here you can see what I was talking about with the phone bridge invite. The organizer schedules a meeting and it automatically generates a phone bridge with invite. So this is what will go out in the email asking people to join the meeting. First, you will have a link that you can just click on that from your computer or your smartphone, and it will take you to Microsoft Teams. If you have the app installed, it'll take you right to the app and join the meeting via the app. If you don't have the app installed, it'll ask you if you want to install it. And if you don't want to install it, you can just follow this link and it'll take you right to the web application, which will allow you to join the Teams meeting from there. But like I mentioned earlier, you can also, if you have the right license with Microsoft Teams, you can call this phone number and you can put in this conference ID and join that meeting through your phone. I've called into a couple Teams meetings, and I can say, other than the fact that I can't present anything, it is still pretty cool. It's still very efficient. And oh, this is just all the same stuff that I just said. You can click join on mobile to dial in or open the app. And here you can see that the desktop client and mobile app users can still use the VoIP or cellular data. So there are several different kinds of meetings that you can create, and we're going to talk about how you can use Teams to create all of those different meetings. There are standalone scheduled meetings, and these could be one-off meetings that you are having with people or around specific topics. For example, if you are having a quarterly all-hands meeting, or you are interviewing people that are candidates for a job, then you can schedule those with Microsoft Teams, and it's super easy. You can also have ad hoc meetings within Microsoft Teams, and these can be called meetings, or you may hear them referred to as calls as well. When you have an ad hoc meeting, it's something that you're doing for quick feedback or real-time help. For example, if somebody needed to ask me a question about one of these training sessions, they could send me a chat message saying, "Hey Shane, are you free? I would love to talk to you about this training session real quick." And then I can say, "Yep, I'm free." And then they just hit that little call button in the chat, and it'll immediately start up a meeting with me and them. And this is for when a chat isn't enough. How many times have you been texting somebody and your fingers are just getting tired of typing out all of the information, and you just want to call them and, you know, spit it out? Same thing happens if you are in a chat. You could be in a chat with somebody, and maybe you just don't want to type all of the information that you're talking about, and so you just want to give them a call and have an ad hoc meeting with them right then and there. And then we also have our project-based or group-focused meetings, and these are going to be meetings that are usually recurring, and they are for very specific collaboration projects. So it could be cross-team event coordination, a project status meeting, a weekly marketing team sync. This could be like my morning meeting, which is just for all of the trainers that work on my team. We all get together at 9 a.m. every morning and just talk about some you know, how things are going, anything we might need, and, you know, sometimes we talk about some other cool stuff. Like, for example, this morning we talked about that new Dune trailer that dropped, and we're all pretty excited about that because we are nerds. But yeah, you can have these recurring meetings be any one of these things here. And then this is going to be the last slide. I just wanted to point out that how we can use our Teams app on our smartphones to be able to interact as well. So even if you are on mobile, you can share PowerPoints, you can share your screen, or even live video. So you can click on share right here, and if you share a file, it will allow you to choose a PowerPoint presentation that you have saved either in Teams or on your OneDrive for Business. So if you have it in Teams or on your OneDrive for Business, you can share that PowerPoint directly from your phone. You don't even need to be at your computer to share that PowerPoint presentation. So that's really cool. But you can also share live video if you just want to have a face-to-face conversation with somebody and you're on your phone, you can do that. You can also share your screen. I will say the unfortunate thing is that you are not able to join a live event as a presenter or a producer from the phone yet. So there's no way to share your screen from your phone on a live event. I am looking forward to that because then I would be able to give demonstrations on not only the desktop and web app versions of Teams, but I would be able to give a demonstration on the mobile version too, which I think is really cool to be able to do that. So I'm looking forward to that. However, you can still join a live event as an attendee from your phone. So for example, there could be some people watching this presentation right now from their mobile devices, and that is pretty neat. Alrighty, so I guess that is enough talking. I think I've already taken up enough time with that. Let's go ahead and get started talking about the live demonstration for Microsoft Teams. And forgive me just 1 second while I switch my screen over to Teams. Alrighty, so here we are in Microsoft Teams. And this is actually a demo account. It does have my name. You can see up here in the upper right-hand corner, it's got my name, but this is a demo account. It's not real. Although, I mean, I would technically be able to get work done in here. It is all in a demo environment, and it is going to expire after a certain amount of time, and there's no way to renew it. So just keep in mind that because it is a demo account, there may be a few things here and there that seem a little bit wonky. I know the way the files work is a little strange, but everything should be working just fine. I haven't had any problems with it recently. So here we are in the Microsoft Teams web app, and just to give you a refresher, I want to point out some of the user interface elements. We've got the app launcher waffle in the upper left-hand corner. We can use this to navigate to different Microsoft 365 apps, or we can just click on Microsoft 365 up here to go to the portal. And then over here on the left, we have our navigation bar. We have our activity feed at the top. We have our chats under that. And then we have where we access our Teams. We have our calendar, where we make our calls, our files, and then any other apps that we would like to add in here as well. And real quick, I do just want to draw your attention to this help menu down here, because if you ever have any questions about Teams after this training, you can go to this help menu, and there is a lot of information in here. You can visit frequently asked questions. You can look at the Teams basics. There's a lot of articles and videos in here, and some of these links will take you to our support website for Microsoft Teams, which is just super in-depth and has a lot of really good information in it. So definitely recommend you use this help menu. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is let's talk about creating a meeting within Microsoft Teams. So today is Thursday, and let's say I want to create a new meeting with my project team, and I want to sync up with them. I want to see exactly how they are doing. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to click on new meeting right here. Now you'll notice that there's a little arrow next to that. And if I click on that, it says schedule meeting or live event. And like I said, we're not going to be going over live events today, but just so you know, this is how you would create a live event, by clicking on that little arrow right there. But let's click on schedule meeting. And let's go through what it looks like to create a new meeting from scratch. So here I'm going to add a title, and this meeting is going to be the Turtle Team project. And let's go ahead and add some required attendees here. So I'm definitely going to invite Abby, Marvin, Brandon, Bonnie, and Adam, because that's the team that I am working with. And now underneath that, here I will determine exactly when I want my meeting to be. Let's change this from 1:30 to 2 o'clock, and you'll notice that as soon as I changed it to 2 o'clock, everybody's name turned red. And that is because Teams actually has a scheduling assistant built into it, just like in Outlook. If you are familiar with using Outlook and creating meetings in Outlook, then you may already be familiar with Scheduling Assistant. But you will see up here at the top, Scheduling Assistant is one of the items. Let's go ahead and click on that and see what it shows us. Well, now we can see that everybody that I have invited to this meeting already has something going on during this time slot. I can click on anywhere else if I want to schedule it at a different time, but you'll see that here are all the different people I've invited, and each of them has a different schedule. Abby, you can see, has a meeting from 9 a.m. to 9:30, but everybody has a meeting from 2 o'clock to 2:30, and Adam has a meeting from 4 o'clock to 4:30. So because of that, I don't want to have my meeting at 2 o'clock. Let's go ahead and keep it at 3 o'clock. Real quick, let me just put it at 4 o'clock here, and we'll see what that looks like. Now you'll see that everybody's name, or Adam's name, is red, and everybody else is normal, showing that only Adam is unavailable during that time. Here we have some suggested times as well, and I'm just going to keep it at 3 o'clock. Now, I know this is going to be a pretty lengthy meeting. We're going to be talking about everything that we have been doing over the past week. So let's go ahead and change it to 4 o'clock. And now this meeting is an hour long. So underneath that, we have the ability to make this a recurring meeting. So I can click on does not repeat, and I can change one of these to a different recurrence. So I could have this meeting every weekday, but this is a weekly catch-up meeting. I don't necessarily need to do it every weekday. So let's go ahead and make it weekly. It's going to occur every Thursday starting today, September 10th. So that's good. Now here we have the opportunity to add a channel to this meeting, and I'm not going to do this just yet. We're going to go over what a channel meeting looks like next. But first, I'm not going to add a channel. Here we can add a location, and this is more useful when we are not doing remote operations. But if, for example, yes, this is going to be a virtual meeting. However, if we want to have people meet in a specific conference room, in addition to being online in the virtual meeting, or maybe some people are going to be meeting at the Starbucks down the street, we could add that location in there. And then here we can add some details for the meeting. So I'm just going to say weekly meeting to catch up on the Turtle project. And there we go. So that's easy. That is just going to tell everybody who is coming to our meeting exactly. Oh, it would help if I spelled the words right. There we go. Tell them what this meeting is for. Everybody knows that this is the weekly meeting to catch up on the Turtle project. And that's great. One more option that we have here is we can make this an all-day meeting if we wish as well. This can be useful if you have maybe an open Q&A bridge. You can make it an all-day meeting, and you don't have to be in it. You can just have it active so that anybody who wants to join and ask questions can. But let's go ahead and send this meeting invite. And there we go. Now I have created this meeting. It shows up in my calendar here, and I can navigate to next week, and yep, next week it still shows up. And now that I have invited all of those people to this meeting, they are now tentative for that meeting. They are going to remain tentative until they either accept or decline the meeting invitation. So for example, if I go to create another new meeting and I add some of the same people here, and we go to Scheduling Assistant, you'll see that this Turtle meeting is now showing up as tentative. That is what these little hashed lines mean, is that they are tentative. So as you can see, just inviting them to the meeting has already put that meeting on their calendar until they go in and either accept or decline the meeting. I'm going to close that. No, I don't. Oops. I don't need to change that. So now that I have created the meeting, we can actually go into that meeting and change some of the settings around. So if I click on this meeting, because it is a meeting I have created, you will see that it still allows me to edit it, gives me the ability to edit the name, I can invite new people, I can edit when it is, I can edit the location. But now that the meeting has been created, you'll see underneath the description here, we also have our Join Microsoft Teams meeting link. We also have our phone number with a conference ID, and then we have some other information down here. Now, local numbers is if you want to generate a local number that you can call that's not a toll number. If you need to reset your PIN for Microsoft Teams, the call-in has its own PIN. You can do that. You can learn more about Teams by clicking on that. But here we can also view some of the meeting options. So let's actually go in and we're going to click on meeting options here, and we're going to look at some of the advanced options that are available to us for scheduling this meeting. So when we first go into a meeting, now that I have this open, let's go ahead and click join here. No, I don't need you to use any of that stuff. I'm going to continue without audio or video. So here we are in the meeting lobby. So I know that this meeting was scheduled from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, but the cool thing about Teams meetings is that you can actually join them at any time. The timing of the meeting is just a guideline for the attendees of when you should join that meeting so that everybody is joining at the same time. But here we have the lobby for a meeting. And you'll see that we have the name of the meeting right here. We can leave the lobby if we want and not join the meeting. We can click join now, and we can also test our video and microphone. So this screen, if the camera were enabled, would show a preview image from my camera and allow me to adjust my settings to make sure that my camera was working properly. We can also decide whether we want to join with our microphone on or off. I will tell you a best practice is to always join a meeting with your microphone muted. Unless you know you're going to join and just immediately start talking, it's just a best practice to join a meeting with your microphone muted. Next to that, we have our devices menu. And this is where you can actually adjust some of your device settings. So you can change what speaker the meeting is using, you can change the microphone, and you can change the camera. So if you've multiple devices on your computer, you can play with those settings here. I know sometimes people have technical issues where maybe they're using headphones and it's not working. That could just be because you need to change your speaker from your device speakers to your headphones. Now we have some other join options down here as well. We can join with the audio off, and this is helpful if there are other people in the same room as you who are already in this meeting. If they're already in this meeting and they have their sound on, then you joining with your sound on can create some just terrible echo or reverb sounds. So if you are in that situation, you definitely want to click on audio off and join with your audio off. Now here is the phone audio button, and I have mentioned this. I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the presentation, but you can actually, if you are in a meeting where somebody is presenting something, you can join via your phone so that you can hear and speak through your phone line, but you can also have the presentation going on your screen.
Shane, I think you may have accidentally gone on mute.
Yep, sorry about that. I'm still here. Just give me 1 second. All right, so yes, you can view the presentation on your computer, and you can join via your phone to be able to hear and speak in the presentation. Useful if your computer does not have a microphone or speaker system that you can use. And then lastly, you can add a room to your meeting if you need to use the audiovisual equipment inside of a conference room. That can be useful if you are using a conference room in your place of business. So now this is the lobby. And the reason I wanted to talk about that first was if we go back to our meeting options here, the first option we have is who can bypass the lobby. Bypassing the lobby is clicking this Join Now button. So you can actually adjust these settings here, and you can make it so that only me, so only the organizer can bypass the lobby. And if you make that the case, then everybody else, instead of being able to join right here, they will have to sit in this lobby until I manually approve them to join the meeting. So if you have a meeting that maybe is going to be covering some sensitive material, or you want to be able to vet who is coming into the meeting, you can make it so that only you are allowed to bypass the lobby and everybody else has to wait for permission. By default, it's people in my organization so that anybody in your org can bypass the lobby, but if you have some external people or people who are calling in from a phone, they will have to wait for permission. You can also change it to people in my organization and trusted organizations, or you can just make it so everyone can bypass the lobby. If you have it for people in my organization, you can also change it so that you can always let callers bypass the lobby. So that if they call in, they'll just automatically join the meeting. If you disable that, then the callers will have to wait in a lobby until you manually approve them. Here you can decide whether you want the meeting to announce when callers join or leave. And then here you can decide whether you want everyone to be able to present, or we can change it to specific people. And then we can have specific presenters for this meeting. So let's say I want Abby and Bonnie to be my presenters for this meeting. Let's go ahead and click Save. And there we go. And now let's go ahead and join the meeting. So now we have a meeting. I am the organizer of this meeting, and Abby and Bonnie are both presenters for this meeting. So let's go ahead and go over some of the options that are available to us here in this meeting. So this bar right here is where you're going to find all of your meeting controls. First, we have our timer for the meeting. This is going to tell us how long the meeting is going. We have the button to be able to turn our camera on and turn it off if our camera is currently on. We can unmute ourselves or mute ourselves. And here we can open up our share tray. So this is something that is only available to the presenters in a meeting. Let's go ahead and click on that and talk about some of the things available to us. So like I said, just like the mobile app, the desktop or the web app allows you to share some PowerPoints if you have any PowerPoints that are saved in either Teams or in your OneDrive. You can share them from here, but you can also share your desktop. And here it's going to ask me if I want to share my entire screen, just the application, or just the Microsoft Edge tab. Let's go ahead and share our entire screen here. And there we go. Now I am sharing my screen. You can see down here it says that Teams is sharing your screen, and I can stop sharing, or I can hide this icon right here. So this is currently sharing my screen to everybody else, but if I ever want to stop, I can just click Stop Sharing right here. Now you'll notice that I clicked on Share My Entire Screen when I clicked to share my screen earlier, but we also have some different options too. For example, we can share only a specific application window, and that's actually what I'm doing right now in this live event presentation. The only thing I'm sharing is Microsoft Edge, so that is all you are seeing. You are only seeing the web app. However, I can go down here and I can click on Outlook, I can click on Teams itself, I can click on OneNote, and you're not going to see any of those things. You're only going to see this Teams window as I am clicking on different things here. So that is pretty useful if everything you're going to be presenting is only going to be in 1 or 2 programs. You can have it so, especially if you're going to be using different programs for reference while you're presenting, you can have it so you're only presenting a single application window. Now, if you are going to be switching back and forth between like Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, Excel spreadsheets, all of those during the same presentation, it may be easier for you to just share your entire screen so that you can switch between those programs. Now, one thing that I can't show you right now because I only have the one screen I'm looking at is if you actually have multiple monitors, when you screen share, it actually does give you the option to share one specific monitor. So right now I'm looking at my Surface screen, but if I had an external monitor, I could share only the information on my external monitor. Or I could share only the information on my Surface screen and have my reference information on the monitor, or maybe I'd have Teams open so that I can monitor the Q&A there as well. I'm going to skip over this More Actions button right now, and we will come back to that shortly. Next option we have here is the ability to raise your hand, and if I click that, it'll raise my hand. It tells me my hand is raised, and what that does is it lets the other people in the meeting know that my hand is raised as well. So this is useful if somebody is giving a presentation and you have a question. You can raise your hand and they will know that you have a question or you want to speak next, and that will be helpful to them. Another way that you can use that is if your hand is raised. I'm going to skip over show conversation real quick. I'm going to go right to show participants. If your hand is raised, you will see that there is an icon next to your name. So that's another way that raising your hand can be useful. If you want to do a quick poll of the people in the meeting, you can say everyone who agrees, raise your hand. And then everybody who agrees will raise their hand, and you can go down the list of attendees and count the number of people whose hands are raised. It's just a quick system, a quick poll system. It's not how you have to use it. I know a lot of schools are starting to use Teams, and obviously they can use the raise hand function just as how they would in the classroom. Raise your hand if you know the answer to this question, or if you have a question, you can raise your hand. Here in the participants menu, we have a few different options available to us. If I click this ellipsis right here, I can manage the permissions of the people here in the meeting, and this just takes me to the meeting options page again. We've already seen that, but you'll see I can also download an attendance list, and this will tell me everybody who has joined the meeting, what time they joined, and for how long they were in the meeting. This is only available to the meeting organizer, so just FYI, that is something only available to the organizer. It's not something that everybody will be able to download. Here we can invite somebody to the meeting. So if there was somebody else in the organization that I wanted to invite, like I think we have an Arthur in here. Oh, nope, but we have Akash. I could click on Akash's name and it would call him. Now this is a demo tenant and I don't think Akash is currently logged in, but I would be able to call him into the meeting if I wanted to. I could also put in a phone number in here if I wanted to invite somebody to the meeting via a phone line. I could put in their phone number in here, and I can also copy the join info if I ever wanted to send the join info to somebody. So for example, if somebody's not in my Teams tenant and I wanted to get them in, I could copy the join info and just send them that in a quick email, and they would be able to join from there. And then we have the people currently in the meeting, and we have the people invited to the meeting. If somebody was invited to the meeting and they are not here and you want to make sure that they come in, you can always click on this ellipsis and click Ask to join, and it will call that person into the meeting. I'm also going to put my hand down. So here we have the show conversation button, and if we click on that, this is actually going to be the meeting chat for my meeting. So I can go ahead and say, hello all. And this acts just like a normal group chat, except it is associated directly with this meeting. So for example, let's go ahead and click on chat up here. And this is also going to show something else that's pretty cool. If you ever navigate away from a meeting you're currently in, it's always going to show you a little preview window here. If you are in chat or if you are in Teams, it'll show in the upper left-hand corner. If you go to any other window, it will actually undock and it will be a little window that you can move around. We're going to stick in chat for now, and we'll see that the meeting is up here. And if somebody were presenting or if they had their video going, that would show in this window instead of a black screen. So here I am in this chat, and now in this group chat, it'll function just like any other chat that we have in Teams, but you'll see the bar up at the top is the purple Teams color instead of the normal transparent chat color. And it shows who is currently in the meeting, and it has a join button right there that I can use to join that meeting. I can also click on this button here to directly take me to the meeting details. Again, because I'm the creator, it's trying to let me edit. That's okay. And from here, we can do some of our pre-meeting functions that we want to take care of. So before this meeting even starts, I can go to the chat and I can go to files and I can start sharing files in this chat. And if I share files in this chat, they will be attached to this meeting, and everybody in the meeting will be able to access and edit these files. And I can do that to get other people to review files before the meeting is coming out. So for example, I could upload a Word document or maybe the presentation that I'm going to be using. I could upload that and then I could say, hey, everybody, please feel free to check out this document before I send it. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to upload just a random PowerPoint that I have. This is my Teams Fundamentals Introduction PowerPoint. But let's go ahead and upload that. You'll see it says uploading. This file already exists. That is okay because that's the same file that I always use for my demos. And you'll see right here, it says it is uploading. And there we go. You have shared this file. So if I go back to my chat, now we have shared this file. And then I can go and I can say, please, if I could type, please review the attached PowerPoint before the meeting. And there we go. Everybody will be able to go in here and they can click on that PowerPoint and it'll take them to the preview. And once you are in the preview, you then have the option of editing or going back to the conversation. I'm just going to hit close here. It also shows us meeting notes, and meeting notes essentially are, they're pretty quick. They're not super complicated, but it allows you to take meeting notes, and then those meeting notes will be shared with everybody in the meeting itself. So if somebody wants to take minutes from the meeting, or if you just want to make sure you're writing down information from the meeting, you can do that. And then you can divide them up into different sections. And you can say, Abby, do task 1, Bonnie, do task 2, etc. And now anybody will be able to access these meeting notes at any time from within the meeting or from within the chat. And you will even see that now it has made a post that there were meeting notes created for this meeting. And I can click on that if I want to go look at the meeting notes. One question we do get a lot, is there a way to export these notes? And right now, no, there is not. You can organize them here within the meeting notes app, but There's no way to actually export them right now, but that is a question we get a lot, and it is a feature that has been suggested. So hopefully that is something that will happen in the future. Like I mentioned before, because this is a recurring meeting, this meeting chat is going to be consistent throughout each of those meetings. So I have a meeting right now on Thursday. Next Thursday, I'm going to have the same meeting, and it's still going to have all of these same messages. Now let's go ahead and click this, and that'll take us right back to the meeting itself. Let's talk about some of the other functions we have available to us. Hang up is pretty self-explanatory. If I click on that, it will remove me from the meeting. Everybody else will be able to continue on in the meeting, but I will be removed from the meeting. Now here, let's click on more actions and let's see some of the other stuff we have available to us. Show device settings is something that we have already gone over. That was available in the lobby, but it is also available here within the meeting. And we can change any of these devices here. Here we also have a meeting setting where we can, when you share a PowerPoint presentation, specifically a PowerPoint presentation, you can enable private viewing, which will allow everybody in the meeting to flip through that PowerPoint presentation at their own speed. So yes, you can change the slide as your presentation goes, but they will also be able to flip through it at their own speed as well. Of course, you can always disable that. We can also bring up our meeting notes directly within the meeting, and then I can click on View Notes tab down here, and that will allow me to take me to the tab that I was just looking at. We can show the meeting details, which again just tells us the join info, gives us some other options here. Here we can also go to check out the meeting options again. We can have the meeting enter full screen. We can bring up a keypad, which is useful if maybe we are calling somebody into the meeting, but they have an extension that we need to dial. We can click on this to bring up the keypad. Here we can start recording the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and show you what it looks like when we are recording a meeting. And now you'll see a big bar that pops up at the top that says you are recording this meeting. Be sure to let everyone know that they are being recorded. And you should let everybody know that they are being recorded, but this bar will also be up there for everybody else in the meeting, and it will say this meeting is being recorded. So whenever you record a meeting, it is going to let everybody know that that meeting is being recorded. It'll also show this little recording dot down here in the lower left-hand corner. Only the organizer of the meeting and designated presenters are able to start recording for a meeting. Let's go ahead and stop recording now. Stop recording. And here we go. It tells us after the meeting, you can find the recording in the meeting chat or on Microsoft Stream. I'm going to click got it, and we'll bring up the meeting chat. And you can see the recording has stopped and it is currently saving the recording. Now, like it said, this recording is going to be uploaded to Microsoft Stream. If you are unfamiliar with Microsoft Stream, it is something included in Microsoft 365. It is a video hosting platform for your organization. So you can upload videos there, and those videos will be shareable among your direct groups or among your entire organization. You can share those videos out. Anytime a recording is made in Microsoft in a Teams meeting, that recording is uploaded to Stream under the ownership of the person who recorded. And then from there, that person can go in, they can share it around, they can download the video file. But the cool thing about Stream is you can auto-generate captions for things uploaded to Stream. So any live events that are recorded will auto-generate captions. And here, this meeting is now done processing. We can go ahead and click on that, and we can open it in Microsoft Stream. And it'll take us directly to where this video is being hosted. And here we are in Microsoft Stream, and you can see we can watch the video. we can comment on it, we can share it, and because we uploaded it, we are the owner, we can also change some options regarding this meeting as well. You can see I can replace it, I can download it, I can delete it, trim it, update the details. But this is not a stream training, so I'm not going to go super deep into that. Just know that when you record a meeting, that is where your meeting recording goes. And then last two options here, we have end meeting, which is like hang up, but instead of just me hanging up, it'll force everyone to hang up. Again, only available to the organizer. And then turn off incoming video, which will basically, it doesn't force everybody to turn off their video. What it does is it turns off incoming video for you. So if maybe you're having some bandwidth issues, or you are on a limited network or a metered network and you don't want to use up all of your data by having everybody's video coming through, we can turn off all the incoming video for us. Alrighty, so that is about everything for creating a meeting within Microsoft Teams. Next thing I want to do is I want to talk about Outlook. But first, I want to see if we have any questions. I saw something come through saying that we did have a question.
Hi, Shane. Yeah, we had a great question. Someone mentioned that the start recording meeting option is grayed out during their meetings. They do have the GCC subscription enabled, but we're wondering if you might know why that would be grayed out.
There are a couple different things there. Number one, it is something that's only available to the organizer or specific named presenters. So if you're not the organizer or a presenter, you won't be able to record. However, while recording is available in GCC, it is something that is turned on and off at the system administrator level. So depending on your specific organization, it is very possible that recording has just been disabled by your system administrator for everybody. So that is definitely something, if you feel like recording meetings is something that you need access to, you may want to bring that up with your system administrator if it is something that has been disabled at the administrator level.
Great, thank you, Shane. And then another question was about polls, creating poll questions. I know we generally recommend forms, but if you have a minute to show it, I think that would be appreciated.
Sure. Yeah, Microsoft Forms is what we would recommend using for creating quick polls. And that is pretty easily accessed through this app launcher. Again, we'll click on that. Sometimes it'll show up here if you've used it before, but we can always just click on Microsoft 365 here, and that'll take us to our portal. And from here, we can click on Forms. Mine is right here. However, you may have to click on All Apps if you've never used it before. But here we have Microsoft Forms. And Microsoft Forms is super easy to use, and it's very quick. You can easily create new forms. You can see right here, create a new form is the first thing. And then you can create your poll title, and you can start adding questions right away. Oh man, I wish I could type while I was live, huh? And we can say yes, no, there's our poll. We can click share. We can copy the link, and now we can put that link in the chat. And there we go. We've created our survey or our poll, and we've added it to the chat. And by default, people in your organization are able to answer questions on forms as long as you're logged in with your business account. You can also change some other options within forms. I'm not going to go too deep into that. But now anybody can click on that form link right there. It'll take them directly to the survey. I can say, yes, I liked the meeting. I can submit that. It'll say thank you. And I can go back, and now I already have my response for my form. So it's pretty quick to be able to make polls within forms and share them directly to Teams itself. There is actually one other way you can use forms that is not available in GCC, so I'm not going to tease you with it too much, but there is a forms bot that you can use to automatically just create polls pretty quickly directly within the chat. Again, not available in GCC yet, but hopefully that'll come soon and you will be able to see it. But that is another way to use forms. You can just talk to the bot and have it create a poll directly within the chat. All right, so the last thing I'm going to go over today is I am just going to talk about creating a Teams meeting within Outlook, and then we will open up the rest of the training for any other questions that everybody has. So here I am in the Outlook web app, but it is going to be very similar to the desktop app. We're going to go in the lower left-hand corner to the navigation area, and we're going to click on Calendar. And here we are going to be in the Outlook calendar. One thing you might notice is that the Outlook calendar is reflecting the Teams calendar that I was looking at, and the same is true in reverse. If you have meetings created or appointments created within Outlook, those events will be reflected in your Teams calendar. However, they will only be virtual meetings if you take this one specific step. So let's go ahead and click Create New Event over here. And now you will see that we have an extra button available to us, which is right here. I can make this a Teams meeting, and that's all I have to do is click on that, enable that toggle, and this meeting will be a Teams meeting. It will create a virtual conference room that people can join within Teams. If you do not have this enabled, then this will not be a virtual conference room. It will be a normal meeting or appointment where people will just have to show up in a physical location. So if you want to make sure that it is an actual virtual conference room meeting, a Teams meeting, you want to click on that button. The way it works in the desktop application is up in the ribbon at the top. When you are creating a meeting, there will be a button that says Teams meeting. It does look just like the Teams icon. If you are familiar with the Teams icon, this one right here, but that is what it will look like in the desktop app. But it's pretty easy to convert an Outlook meeting to a Teams meeting. But keep in mind, you do have to have it be a Teams meeting from the start. You cannot create a meeting and then turn it into a Teams meeting after the fact. It does have to be a Teams meeting from the start. All right, and that is it for creating meetings in Microsoft Teams. At this point, we're going to go ahead and open it up to general questions.
Yeah, hi Shane. We had a great question from someone who loved your demo of forms, and they asked if forms can be used to create SharePoint data entry forms.
So if you're talking about lists in SharePoint, you can use Power Automate if you are familiar with it. So I'm going to go here to all apps and let's go and click on Power Automate real quick. Again, not going to go too deep into this because this is a pretty advanced subject here. But you can actually use Power Automate to automatically convert your forms responses into a SharePoint list. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what you mean, but that is what it sounds like. So for example, I can just search for, let's just search for forms right here and see if a template comes up. It's the first time I've ever used it. That's okay. I just have to hit get started. No, that's all dumb. I don't want that. Let's just create one from scratch real quick. I'm going to create an automated flow, and my trigger is going to be forms. Oh, there we go. It's the first one. When a new response is submitted, and then we can add it's right now, it's signing in, Okay, so when a new response is submitted to my poll, I can create a new step, and let's add SharePoint here. I can then create an item in SharePoint. And what it'll do is it'll find a SharePoint list. I don't think I have any. Yeah, I don't have any lists available to me right now. I haven't created any lists, so I don't have a way to create one. But if you had a SharePoint list, you would be able to take the responses from the forms response and have them be added directly to a SharePoint list. So again, not sure if that's exactly what you mean, but that's kind of what it sounded like to me. And Power Automate would be how you would accomplish that if you were using forms. You could also do the same thing. Instead of with a SharePoint list, you could do the same thing with an Excel file. So for example, we can add a step here. Excel, we can add a row into a table. So if we had an Excel file with the same data fields as the response fields in forms, we can have it so that Power Automate will automatically take those responses and add them into a table in Excel. And that's super useful if you're collecting a lot of responses and you don't want to have to manually export them to Excel every time you get a new response, and you're going to be using Excel to analyze the data of the responses that people are submitting. You can set up this Power Automate. It's super easy. As you can see, you only really need a couple steps here. There's actually, I lied, there's one more step you need, and that is forms. You do actually need to get the response details. Yep, there it is. So it's 3 steps, not just 2. There we go, put in that response ID, and there we go. 3 steps, and every time somebody submits a response to that form, it will automatically add that data to that table. And it's super easy to make, super easy to set up. I have done some Power Automate trainings in the past, so if that's something you're interested in, we do actually have a form. I'm going to go ahead and put it in as an announcement right now. But we have a form that is a feedback survey that we would love you to fill out. And let us know how we did, but there's also a space for you to tell what you would like to learn more about. And if you would like to learn more about Power Automate, let us know, and we might be able to set up some Power Automate trainings. We also, I'm also familiar with Power Apps and Power BI if you want to know anything like that as well. And again, we are here. We're going to stay open for as long as we keep getting questions. But if we don't have any other questions, we are going to give you some of your time back. But I do want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for attending our training today. And thank you to my moderators as well for keeping an eye on those questions. I definitely appreciate that. And hopefully everybody has a wonderful afternoon. Again, we're going to stay for a few more minutes in case we get any other questions. All right, well, I don't see any new questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and give everybody back 15 minutes of their day. Once again, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you attendees for being here. Please fill out the feedback survey, and thank you to my moderators for being here and keeping an eye on the questions. And I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon.